And we are back with Fragile Nuke, our character we're using to simply walk through old school RuneScape. So we left off last episode training a bunch of skills. We got our first level 40s, so now we're going to start this episode doing a bunch of quests. There's a lot of free-to-play quests we got to complete. Luckily, they're not very long. The first quest we're going to complete today is Shield of Arav. It can be the most annoying quest for new free-to-players because you need a friend to help you. Well, you don't really need a friend. You can join the clan chat, OSRS space SOA, and find someone to help you out in the quest. When you get to this quest and start reading through the quest guide, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, I couldn't find someone who was doing the quest. Instead, I had to use someone who was selling their help for 10k apiece. Regardless, quest complete. And I've got some items for Demon Slayer in my inventory. Let's go slay a demon. First, I need some equipment because it's a fairly dangerous quest. I gotta fight a demon. I'm level 20 defense, the best thing I can wear is Mithril. 20 attack, the best sword I can use is a Mithril Scimitar. So we're going to buy a Mithril set off the Grand Exchange. You can actually just buy a box set instead of all the items individually. It saves you some time, but I think it's a little bit more expensive than buying them all individually. You right click the Grand Exchange clerk, click on sets, then click on your set, and it gives you a full set of armor. I'm also going to buy a power amulet. For range and melee, it's the best amulet in free to play. It gives you a bunch of extra stats, combat stats. And now we're ready to fight the demon of Demon Slayer. We're ready to destroy this cult and their big summoned demon. It's actually not that powerful. It looks scary, it looks spooky, but it's not that spooky. In fact, the wizards are a bit more spooky. We have our Silverlight equipped, which is good for the demon, but we need to use our Mithril Scimitar for the wizards. And as you can see, I've also taken off my armor because magic spells deal more damage to people wearing metal or melee armor, usually. So I actually have better magic defense when I'm not wearing my armor. The level 20 wizard actually just almost killed me. Luckily I've got cooked trouts and salmon that I got when getting 40 fishing and 40 cooking. That's all the wizards did. I'm not sure if you actually have to kill the wizards, but they kept attacking me, so I kind of had to get them out of the way. Now I can put the armor back on, equip Silverlight, and quite easily take down the demon. If you do this quest, read the guide and memorize the magic phrase because you gotta use it, obviously, to kill the demon. And it's in different orders for different players, so the phrase I used isn't the phrase you need to use. And that's it. Quest complete, I think. Yeah, there we go. Now we're completing Vampire Slayer. This quest is actually a good quest to do earlier on. The earlier you do this quest, the better, because as you're about to see, it gives you a lot of attack experience. Hey, we got 26 attack from that. Now we're completing Imp Catcher, which requires 4 different coloured beads. We just bought them off the Grand Exchange, makes the quest super easy, super quick. You can get the beads from imps, but it's a pain in the butt to try and get all those things, so just buy them off the Grand Exchange. We got rich from the cowhide, so it doesn't matter. Quest complete. One of the newer, if not newest, free-to-play quests, Corsair Cove, has a little final boss battle with a mage guy, so once again, we just took off all our armor and we're blasting him with the scimitar. This quest is actually quite good because it unlocks a little jungle region for you. There is quest complete, Corsair Cove Bank Access. And the final quest we done was Witch's Potion in this quest extravaganza. Let's move on. I'm buying a brass key out of the Grand Exchange and withdrawing a bunch of food, because we're going to train our combat on some hill giants. Just to the southwest of the GE is an entrance to the Edgeville dungeon that requires the key that we just bought. It's like a little secret entrance, and it's a shortcut to the hill giants, because otherwise you'd have to enter the dungeon in Edgeville and run all the way through the dungeon to get to the hill giants. But if you've got the key, you can just enter this little shed and jump down the ladder. Until you get to level 30 or 40 combat stats, the hill giants can be pretty deadly. They do hit pretty high when you're only wearing mithril or armor below that. They're one of the best monsters to train on in free-to-play because they have a high amount of hit points and a low amount of armor, so you're always hitting on them, which means you're always getting XP. And once you get adamant armor, they don't deal too much damage to you. So I have a full inventory of fish right now, but once I've got adamant armor, I can probably get rid of that. And another reason to slay them, they're good XP and they have good drops. They drop big bones, which are valuable. They drop a bunch of valuable ruins, limpwort roots, body talismans, and gems. So you can make a decent amount of GP for a free-to-player while killing hill giants and training your stats. I kind of forgot that I was on a low-level account, and I went AFK here in this clip at the hill giants, and ultimately ended up getting blasted by the hill giants and dying. I think it was the first death. Was it the first death? Maybe not. The first death on this account. Boom, 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 boom. if you die, by the way. You have to go back to where you died to pick up your stuff, and if you take too long, then they will go to Death beneath Lumbridge Graveyard. You have to go speak to Death himself to get your items back, and it usually costs money. But luckily we made it back in time, we picked up our stuff and just resumed what we were doing. I got 30 attacks, so I've come back to the Grand Exchange to buy an Adamant Scimitar. Our DPS should go up a fair amount now. And there is level 30 strength. On a rare occasion, you might get the giant key drop from the Hill Giants. At the bottom of the dungeon, there is a gate which you can use the key on, and you go through the gate to fight the Hill Giant boss, Obor. But I'm not going to do that just yet, because I'm too low level to fight him. I just got level 40 strength there. I leveled straight from 20 strength to 40 strength after getting my Addy Scimitar. The higher your strength, the more damage you deal. So we slice through these guys now, no problem. We've just gotten 30 defense, we've come back to buy some Adamant armor. I'm going to buy this set once again, and we're going to buy another skirt set because I like wearing the plate skirts for some reason. They just look more free, easier to move around in. Maybe it's because I'm from Scotland and stereotypically we all run around wearing kilts apparently, which are just fancy looking skirts. We've just gotten level 40 attack killing that Hill Giant, which means we can now wear the Ruined Scimitar, which is one of the best, if not the best weapon in free-to-play. It's definitely the best for training your stats. And typically when you're training your melee combat stats, you want to get attack and strength before defense, because the higher your attack and strength levels, the more damage you're dealing, the more DPS you have, let's say damage per second you have on the monsters, which means you're getting more XP, because the XP you get depends on how much damage you're dealing. So get attack and strength up first, then your defense will level up faster. Does that make sense? I hope so. And now we've got 40 defense, we've got 40 in all our melee combat stats, which is exactly what we wanted. And the loot tab from killing Hill Giants, getting 40 in each melee combat stat, is almost 200k. That's a lot of GP for a free-to-player. I'm going to withdraw everything in this tab and sell it. And if we click collect, we're going to end up with 231,000 GP. We also got these 5 giant keys, so we get 5 attempts at fighting the Hill Giant boss. With our newfound wealth, I've purchased a bunch of Ruin armor. I didn't buy a Ruin armor set because we can only wear a chain body since we haven't completed Dragon Slayer, but look at us. High level, free to play. I love looking like this in RuneScape. It just fills me with a good nostalgia feeling. Why are there bots inside Doric's house? This is a little bit weird. You can tell they're bots because they all look the same, they're all facing the same way, and they all have auto-generated names. Anyway, we're going to do a few more quests, including Doric's quest. Easy peasy. Grubfoot's going to give us a little fashion show. What do we think? It's perfect, Grubfoot. Thank you very much, quest complete. Now we're completing the Black Knight's Fortress quest, which gives us 3 quest points and a 2.5k GP reward, which is a surprisingly high amount of GP for a free-to-play quest, but that gives us enough quest points to technically start Dragon Slayer, the hardest quest in free-to-play. We've just gotten this cool looking sword made for the Knight's Sword quest. If you like this sword and you want to keep one for yourself because it vanishes after you complete the quest, you have to give it to the squire, you can make 2 of them. Follow the quest guide, it'll probably tell you how. This is a magnificent quest to complete because it gives you, you'll see in a second, 12,000 smithing XP. That's a lot of smithing XP. The level, 29 smithing from level 1. 29 smithing. Actually, I think this is the newest free-to-play quest. Below Ice Mountain, you've got to fight this ancient guardian boss creature thingamajiggy. There it is, quest complete, another 2,000 coins and access to the ruins beneath the Ice Mountain, which offer a bunch of alternative training methods in free-to-play. If you plan on sticking around in free-to-play for a while, they might actually be worth checking out. X marks the spot complete. I was supposed to get a beginner clue scroll as a reward, but I think because I already have one in the bank, it didn't give me it. Oh well. After killing this leathery old gardener, we have completed, once we dig... Come on, dig it, where... There we go, Pirate's Treasure. We've completed Pirate's Treasure. Prince Ali Rescue complete, so now we can use the Alcarid Gate without having to pay 10 GP, so those goblins don't have to get slain every time I want to get through that gate. So we've done a lot of fighting and we've done a lot of questing. It's time to take a step back and relax. We're going to do some skilling, starting off with woodcutting and fire making. I chopped an inventory of logs and now we're going to burn them up. When you're burning logs, for some reason you go from east to west every single time, so you burn a log, create a fire, and your character moves towards the west. So you want to make sure you have a nice big straight line where you can burn all the logs without any interruptions. There is level 9 fire making from 1 inventory. I'm just gathering normal logs outside of the Grand Exchange to burn them until we get 15 fire making. And 15 wood cutting, which we just achieved. Now we can chop oak logs, but we can't burn them yet until we get 15 fire making. There is 15 fire making. I've come back to Draenor to level up my wood cutting and fire making on oak trees, and I like Draenor for skilling. It's like a little skilling hub. I leveled up my wood cutting and fire making to level 30 on the oak trees. Now we can chop the willow trees here in Draenor too. I just got 31 wood cutting, so now we can upgrade to the adamant axe, the second best axe in free to play. Luckily I don't have to go to the Grand Exchange, I already bought one in preparation for this. And there is 41 wood cutting. We can now use ruin axes. That's it, we're done wood cutting in free to play. That's all I wanted to do. There's no point in going any higher in free to play once you can use the ruin axe. There's no real reason to level up anymore. Well, I guess you can level up to 60 to chop yew trees, then you can sell the yew logs for money. They're worth like 150 to 200 coins each, but I don't think it's worth it. And we've burned the logs until level 40 fire making. It should be that one. Yep, there we go. And I'm going to leave it there. I do have more logs in the bank, but I don't want to burn anymore. It's not the funnest thing to do. I want to move on. I've preemptively purchased pickaxes. That's a fun phrase to say. We've gotten 40s in fishing and cooking. We've gotten 40 in wood cutting and fire making. It's now time to do the same for mining and smithing. We're going to use the southeast Varrock mine to do most of our mining, which looks suspiciously like a nutsack. And for the first 15 levels of mining, you want to mine copper and tin at a 1:1 ratio, because you need 1 copper, 1 tin to smelt into a bronze bar. For smithing XP, then you can turn that bronze bar into a bronze item for even more smithing XP. And once our inventory is full, we just run north and then into the Eastern Varrock Gate and use the Eastern Varrock Bank to deposit our newly gathered ores. Rinse and repeat. We just got 15 mining gathering copper and tin ore. Now we can move on to mining iron ore. Luckily there's 4 iron deposits in the same nutsack mine. So this will happen to you. You'll be mining peacefully and then someone else is going to come along and start mining with you on the same rocks that you're mining. It happens, it's a staple in RuneScape. And you have a few options. You can stay and be stubborn and fight over the rocks. You can hop world or ask them to hop world and try and find an empty world so you can go back to what you were doing. Those are your 2 usual main options, but I realised this guy is quite low level. Low enough for this giant rat nearby to attack him. So I unequipped my pickaxe so I didn't accidentally kill the rat. I attacked it and brought it over near the little noob, and then once it de-aggroed on me, once I was out of range, it started attacking him. And now, young Deebs, this is what you get for mining my rocks. Yeah, get out of here. If you want to level up your mining, your wood cutting or your fishing faster, you can do something that's called power leveling, where you gather the resource, then just drop it at the spot you gathered it. You can do this with mining on iron ore. This is technically the best training method in free-to-play for mining, is to find a spot with 3 rocks. You get one in the Alcarid Desert, in the Scorpion Pit, which is where I am now to demonstrate this as an example. You find a 3 rock spot and you just mine them over and over and over again, drop your ore, and then do that until you get the level you want, really. That's the most efficient way of leveling mining in free-to-play. But we're not just looking for mining XP, we want the whole package. We want mining XP, smithing XP, and GP. So we're going to mine the rocks, turn them into bars, turn the bars into items, and then sell the items. There is 31 mining. We can now use the adamant pickaxe. Let's get this bad boy equipped. There we go. This is our last inventory of iron ore because we got 41 mining. That's it, we're done mining in free to play. All that's left in this row of skills is to get smithing levels. The closest furnace to a bank in free to play to smelt bars is in Edgeville. We've been here a few times already through this simple walkthrough. Initially we're going to smelt bronze bars by taking out 14 copper and 14 tin ore, clicking on the furnace and clicking the bronze bars. And we just wait until it's done. Because we've done the Knight's Sword quest, we can already smelt iron bars without having to use copper and tin to get to level 15. And when you're smelting iron bars, it just takes 1 iron to get 1 bar, but there's a 50% chance that it fails. So still on average 2 ores for 1 bar. There's level 30 smithing. We've only had 1 level, but the smelting part isn't where you get most of the XP. I've turned my ores into bars, I've got a hammer, and there is an anvil just south of the Western Varrock Bank. This is a great place to train smithing because the bank is so close to the anvil. We're going to use all of our iron bars and just make the best thing we can make at the time. Each bar gives the same amount of XP regardless of the item you're crafting. It takes 3 bars to smith an iron kite shield and it takes 1 bar to smith an iron dagger. But if you smith 3 iron daggers, you're going to get the same XP as you did making 1 kite shield. So just smithing the thing that requires the highest bars that you can is the fastest way to go about it. So I've smelted all my ores, I've smithed all the items I can using all the bars I had, and here is everything I've created. It got me 1 level short. We're so close to 40, we're just a little bit short. So we're going to sell all of these items. It's not going to be worth too much money, and we're going to buy some more iron bars and just smith up to level 40 with some bought iron bars. 200 iron bars should do the trick. We're still smithing iron items, even though we can make some steel items, because it's a lot more cost efficient to use iron bars. We're in no rush. If we were in a rush, I'd use steel bars, but we're not, so it's cheaper for us to use iron bars to get the levels than steel bars. Iron bars cost less GP per XP than steel bars. And there it is, level 40 smithing. We've completed that row of skills. They're all level 40 or above, which is a really good milestone for free-to-play getting skills to level 40. Thanks for watching this episode of a simple walkthrough Old School RuneScape. If you enjoy the videos, consider becoming a channel member. It's only 99 cents or 99p depending on where you're living on, 0.99, and it helps immensely. Thank you very much.